have taken a turn for the worse. Delta State, I think, is, according to budget, is ranks 34th out of 36 for ease of doing business.
Wow.
Yeah, inflation there is about 25%. Inflation for Nigeria, I think for the country, it came in at 21.91 or 23.91. I'll get those figures correct in just a moment. But for Delta State, it's higher than it is for the country. So yeah, inflation, yeah, 21.91 is the headline figure. But so Delta State has higher inflation, it's got high unemployment, 31% unemployment, 24% underemployment. So despite being a supposedly oil-rich state, it has a number of its issues. So
how did the debates go?
Yeah, the debates were fine. I thought it was pretty strong. It was only attended by the APGA, Labour, SDP and YPP parties. PDP and APC did not attend. They said they were scheduling conflicts. And then they now sent letters which were read live at the debate explaining why they didn't show up. And then they were offered to show up today because it happened last night, which angered the APGA candidate and he walked out. And then he now came back. Yeah. And then he came back later on and apologized, saying that he was angry that they were disrespected by APC and PDP and that they showed up, and then why are they giving them another chance to come the following day? So, but by and large, I thought it was a pretty strong debate. All four candidates, presented their, what they plan to do for the states. And Deltans will be voting this Saturday for a governor, and we will see how things go. But debates are very important, especially for putting candidates under pressure, finding out what plans they have. And Delta needs help, needs some serious help. All my cousins, we have a WhatsApp group where we talk about what's happening there. We've almost all of us have left. They've all left, and they're either in Abuja, Lagos, or other places. So the more prosperous a state is, the better off, and puts less pressure on Lagos and other states. So that's what's happening there. And then real quick, here in Lagos, the governor here made a very interesting, he made a donation. I don't know if you have the tweet. Did I send the tweets to you?
I don't believe so.
Okay, let me take a look. So
okay, yes, I've seen it. Yes.
Okay, cool. You wanna you wanna read that tweet?
All right. So the governor tweeted, Lagos takes care of its own, and today I returned to kick off the redevelopment of the Akere Motor Parts Market in Ajeromi, Ifelodun, LGA, which was affected by an unfortunate fire incident recently. I also donated 100 million naira to the affected traders to ease their pains. Oh.
Yeah, so it's nice of him, but what people are picking up on is that he said, I donated 100 million naira. So it's, what people are wondering is that, wait, did that money come from you and your pockets, or did it come from Lagos State? We assume it came from Lagos State because, and then where exactly? Is it taxpayers? Are Lagos taxpayers the ones that are, paying for this, or did it come from a special fund, or what? So that tweet was very interesting. But anyway, let's quickly touch on inflation. I was surprised. I thought inflation was, or at least year-on-year inflation was going to decelerate, and it did not. It actually, as I said, 21.91% year-on-year is the figure. It was 21.82 in January. I thought since there was a cash scarcity and people weren't able to, people weren't able to buy stuff, I thought they would have reduced demand for goods and services. So that's what we saw with inflation. I thought, but then there's month on month, we saw that happen, but not for year-on-year.
Wow. Now, we did see a deceleration in month on month for February. How do you explain the divergence where the year-on-year is accelerating and the month on month is decelerating?
Yeah, so month on month was 1.7% in February, 1.71. It was 1.87 in January. So I think month on month more accurately captures the movement in prices of goods and services than year on year. Because year on year, there's the base effect since you're comparing to last year, February to this year, as opposed to month on month where you're comparing January of this year to February. So I think that's a closer timeline. That's more accurate than your year on year. And so that did show a deceleration where inflation, the rate at which the prices of goods and services are rising, was slower than it was in the prior month. So the cash scarcity did have an impact month on month. We did see that impact there. So yeah, that explains why we see a divergence between month on month and year inflation.
So what does this mean for cost of living for average Nigerians like you and I?
It's still high, Zibby. I mean, we're, you and I have jobs. Most of our listeners that are on there, they're employed. They're listening to us as they're driving to work, but it's still tough for everybody. It's still expensive. Our currency purchasing power it's getting weaker, and essentially, things are just still as expensive as ever.
Wow. Well, let's take a few messages. Benga says, it's politically expedient for the governor to donate to traders of the burns markets. We know the money is coming from the state government. Are you sure those inflation figures are accurate? Things are much worse than those figures can capture. All right.
Yeah.
Nedu.
I mean, you've seen triple digit increases in food, triple digit increases in diesel. Next door to us, Ghana's inflation rate is like 52, 53, 51 or 52% year on year. So Benga is right to question our inflation numbers. I think the basket needs to be rejigged. He does have a point.
Nedu says, Rotus, do you really believe the inflation figures? Don't you have a private sector driven counter figure? And
yeah, okay,
right.
Go ahead.
Okay, this one's from El Coman. He says, state governors have a honeypot, popularly referred to as the state security votes, that is at their discretion for spending. As at 2019, I am aware that Lagos State's monthly state security vote was about 2 billion naira. Okay, I'm not so certain of this. He also says a payment like that to the Akere markets would have come from that state security vote to cushion the unfortunate circumstance that befell them.
Okay, well, thanks for that explanation. The thing is, it would help if that was explained to people, because for anybody who read that tweet, they would think that the governor made the deposit, the donation himself. So yeah, it's important to actually know where these funds. I'll look that up and see if that's the case. But it's important to know where these funds are coming from. And yeah, I can still see lots of people questioning those inflation numbers. I think again, we do need to put pressure on the Bureau of Statistics to again update our inflation basket and make sure that it's accurately reflecting, what the movement of goods and services in terms of prices are.
All right, let's talk about investment portfolios. How can you get a return on investment in Nigeria that would actually beat this figure?
Yeah, it's tough. Your real rate of return is negative unless you have a security that is doing better than inflation. But you can't just keep your money in a mattress. As I said people should mix things up, invest in treasury bills here, the stock markets, retail government bonds. Also look at FX, foreign exchange, and also foreign securities as well. It has to be mixed in order for you to get the return that you're looking for.
Okay, so let's talk about subsidies. Now, the budget provision for subsidies is going to end in June 2023. And what is the impact on inflation if these subsidies are removed?
Yeah, very interesting. Yesterday, the Federal Executive Council made an announcement that they have not agreed on what palliatives to use or to put forward when subsidies are removed. So that is to say, when they remove the fuel subsidies and fuel prices go up, the savings that they get from that, they're supposed to apply it somewhere else, whether it's transportation or wherever. And the Clem Agba, who is the Minister of State for Budget and Planning, made an announcement yesterday that they haven't agreed, which is very interesting. The clock is ticking. Inflation will go up. I know we're out of time. If they once they remove subsidies and fuel prices go up to 400, 500, 600 naira per liter, inflation will definitely climb.
All right, so almost out of time, but I have to ask this though. Tweets from Dr. Yemi Kale have been making the rounds in terms of what he thinks the impact of the cash crunch would be on Q1 2023's GDP. What's your estimate for how economic activity will be impacted?
Yeah, I agree with him. I think that because of the cash scarcity, because his point was that so much of our economy is informal and cash based, there will be an impact and a reduction in economic activity for Q1. So I expect a slowdown. You add the elections this Saturday, economic activity will be shut down again for elections. So you add all that together, presidential elections, gubernatorial elections, cash scarcity, fuel scarcity. I think there will be a slowdown in economic activity for the first quarter. We'll get those figures around May or June of this year. So we'll find out what happened in the first quarter of this year.
All right, well, that's all the time that we have for Business Express. Thank you for your messages. Thank you for listening. And of course, thank you, Rotus, for joining us.
Thanks, Zibby. I'll see you guys tomorrow for Tech Friday.
All right, do stay with us. There's a lot more to come on Smooth Breakfast.
The headlines. Business Express on Smooth 98.1 in association with Standard IBTC. Standard IBTC.